Oh, I am? I'm not banana. That's banana. Here we go. Did we mess it up? Are these? Okay. The use of the microphone seems sneaky. Oh, we are? I don't know. I don't think so. But here we go. All right.
Shall I be moderating? Am I audible? All right. Should I start?
Yeah, go.
Hello, everyone. You know Kelly's DeConnick, right? She does a lot of things. Her opinions are well documented. And you're all up on them, right? So we'll go to questions, I guess.
Okay.
But, I mean, eventually.
Sure.
But first, let's hang out with her, the person. Did you see Grand Budapest Hotel?
I did!
Did you like it?
I did very much. I like his stuff.
Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson. The colors. I'm a big fan of the palette. I kind of want to do. I want to paint our hallway like the tenant-bound pink.
If there was a place that had that stuff on the internet where you could like get a couch that is the periwinkle and the couch of the thing.
That's kind of genius.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll do it. Oh, I can boss your people, right? Because this is your panel.
Well, they're not my people. We are one people.
Oh, settle a bet for me and then Carol or Carol Corpse.
It's not Carol Corpse. Carol Corpse would be a very bad thing. It's Carol Cole. The P and the S are silent.
Put that over. Tell them. Couldn't make it here. My second, these are not in order.
Okay.
How's my moderating?
Do you guys know Ben Acker? Are you familiar with? Yeah. Yes. Thrilling Adventure Hour, people. Yeah. It's good stuff.
All right.
Good stuff.
Thank you. That's Thrilling Adventure Hour.
I got to pick my moderator. They asked me.
Right.
Of all the peoples, I picked him.
Right.
What was I thinking?
I said, I think you need my writing partner who moderates panels.
And I said no.
No.
I said no, I mean you.
Right. And I said, I will do no homework.
Yeah, you did actually.
She said, you're hired.
It's true.
Right. So I'm doing great.
But you did do homework. You took notes.
Well, I was driving, and
Yeah.
it was a long
You took
drive.
notes while you were driving?
Yeah, well, it was slow. Like it was, there's traffic. It makes it.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
We'll do it off.
Okay, all right.
Like, oh, give me an exclusive.
Okay. Oh, give me an exclusive?
Yes.
Okay.
Comic-Con exclusive.
Okay. But Bitch Planet, I think, is going to be November 1st.
Oh,
I mean, not actually the 1st. The first issue will be out in November. Not November. I don't know if November 1st is even Wednesday. Sorry, I blew that.
do you want to talk more about Bitch Planet?
It's a planet. Oh, there's two little girls in the front row.
They need to know about planets.
I know you guys, I curse way too much. This is the thing, like I'm never gonna be invited back. It's a problem. And they put on the back of here, please be aware that many of the members of your audience may be under 18 years of age. And so yesterday I told a story about a diaphragm fitting. Yeah, oh, okay, all right. I've never done it.
What's the diaphragm stuff?
No, I already told it. One of them will catch you up later. Yeah, no, and they're not gonna hear it. Yeah, but yeah, I'm a terrible human being. Fudge and mother fudgers. No, actually, it's Jackass. Yeah.
You want to all say it?
No. Oh! Literacy! No. Wait, wait.
I was just handed this. We're going to spot the differences. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, we can go on then.
All right.
There's no time on this.
Literally, there's just two of me. I don't know what just happened. I have no idea what just happened. Okay.
Do you want to do the lightning round?
Okay, yeah, lightning round.
Cats or dogs?
Uh,
Lightning round.
dogs.
Why? Bad lightning round.
Cat boxes.
That's the end of the lightning round. Oh, wait, I have another lightning round question. What do you like or dislike about lightning?
My great-grandpa was struck by lightning.
Did it kill him?
No.
Then we can tell the story.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the whole story right there.
Did it change him?
I didn't know him before that. He's my great-grandpa.
That's fair.
Yeah. My great-grandma found a body in a cistern. I feel like that should be the title of a short story. It's true. No, she didn't do it. She just found the body. She didn't put the body in the cistern.
That's not funny.
That we know of. She's related to me, so it's possible.
We have a question about the body.
What? Yeah, but it's not like a laugh riot. Like somebody got murdered and put in a cistern. Huh? In rural Ohio, where my hillbilly family is from.
No.
I think they did.
Did
You know what?
she solve the murder?
I don't think she solved the murder, but when I write this story, then she will. Yeah, no, it's sort of one of those things that like, I did. I don't know if you guys know this, but most police departments have what's called Citizens Police Academy, which you can totally just go to for free. And it's really cool. And I did like this 12-week Citizens Police Academy just because I used to have time. And so the week that we did like the murder police, I was very excited about it. But the homicide detective was like, yeah, it's usually not that hard. Like, most of the time, the person you think did it, totally did it. And I believe that the story of the body in the cistern was similar to that. Like, yeah, oh yeah, that was exactly the dude that died, kind of thing.
What is a cistern?
A cistern is like a water tank. It's a hillbilly water tank. I just brought the house down.
People love water tanks, right? You guys love...
And murder. Sadness.
Are you ready?
Look at all the carols. Yay. Sorry.
Would you like my Terry Gross style question? Terry Gross.
Yeah.
Kelly Sue. Talk to me about the importance of community. Not the TV show. But you have a community that's gathered around the Ken and All Marvel comic that you do.
Yeah. Well, okay, do you want to straight do a real like Terry Gross answer? Okay.
Yeah, let's
get real.
Gross.
Okay. So the purpose of fiction is to make us feel connected to one another, to our humanity, to bind us together. So fiction is really about creating community, even if it's only in your head and your own emotional world. So I think that something like the contemporary fandom that has become so present in a time where we are all increasingly, we're losing our public spaces, and public spaces are going on into virtual spaces. So we have digital lives now, and digital friends and relationships, and we are naturally building community there because as human beings, that's what we yes, you come into this life alone and you go out alone, but in between, it's all about finding connections.
That's great.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Did you, how conscious of it were you starting, like, did you start writing and then go?
No.
Were you a Tumblr person?
I am a Tumblr person. I am very much a Tumblr person. Woohoo! Yeah, Tumblr is where the internet is nice. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Tumblr and Twitter. I've been an early adopter of all of that kind of stuff. I was even on Second Life, all right, y'all?
Are you on LinkedIn?
Oh, I hate LinkedIn.
It's so stupid.
I tried to leave LinkedIn and they won't let you. It's hard, like you can't, oh no.
Oh yeah, it's the Hotel California with the internet. Yeah, bad things are gonna happen to you now, man. No, I didn't, it wasn't a conscious anything. They came to you and you were like, oh yeah.
Well, no, and I am not the Carol Core. The Carol Core is not me. I am not Carol Danvers. I mean, this is, no, I'm not. I really am. Unless they're, yeah. There's a thing that is, I think one of the things that I like so much about the Carol Core, and this was in the Wired piece that went up this morning, is that it is anarchic.
Is it cold?
No, it's not Arctic. It's like anarchy. There's no boss. Anarchaic.
That's not.
No. It's not okay. It's unorganized, but in a good way.
Disorganized?
Yes. There's no formal organization, and there's no boss, and there's no vetting process, and you don't have to do anything or pass any test or buy anything or sign up anywhere. Though we do have cards, apparently, that you can just print off on the internet if you would like to be a card-carrying Carol Core member, which amuses me to no end. But yeah, so I think that's cool. I think that's really, I like that about it. I like that it's informal and incredibly welcoming and a very supportive community. And I like that, like, if somebody's like, I am interested in comics, in the Carol Core tag, Carol Core will descend upon them with like, let's help you find comics. There's something sort of beautiful about that, particularly because comics has, in the last few years, had this thing where for some reason there was this aspect of it that was like doing the opposite of that. It was like, you are not welcome in comics because we are unhappy. And so it's nice to see the opposite. It's nice to see people being like, yeah, this is really difficult to navigate at first. Let us help you experience our hobby because it's really fun for us and we want you to be a part of it. Which sort of seems like the way things ought to be. I don't know. Should we do another lightning round?
No, I don't have any more lightning round.
Oh, okay, all right.
Everybody think of a lightning round question.
All right, sweet.
Just hold it. What is your guiltiest pleasure? Like movie, song, what is the thing?
Yeah. No, I love a lot of terrible things, but I have no guilty pleasures. I tend not to feel guilty about my pleasure. I have really uncomplicated taste in music. Like my husband is my husband like knows music and has taste and stuff, and I'm like, I have Big Willie style, you know.
You're a Queen fan.
Oh yeah, I love classic rock, metal, but like no deep cuts, you know.
Are you reading things now?
Do I read things? I don't read. No, I do read. I read. I do, actually.
What should I do?
You know, the book that I'm reading, or have been reading most recently, I'm sort of not crazy in love with, oddly enough. So
Do you fire books?
I do. I will quit a book. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I'm a lot of pages into this particular book to just give it up, but I can.
It's like you get time back.
Yeah.
What's the first book you fired?
I don't. No, I mean I think the first movie I ever walked out of was Hannah and Her Sisters. It was just sort of like firing a book. It was sort of like, I was like, I am not enjoying this. I'm going to go do something I might enjoy. That was cool.
Every time.
Yeah.
Now I have 2 more hours to my life. I will spend it reading something amazing. So what are you reading?
Okay.
What should I do? That's my question.
Like comics-wise, I'm a big fan of mind management. Yeah, I know. And there's this book called Sex Criminals. That's all right. I'm so in the tank, Hawkeye.
You're in the pocket of big, your husband.
Right, yeah. And I'm excited about. I have the first issue of the new Bendis Oming book, like United States of Murder Incorporated, I think it's called. I haven't read it yet, but like it just showed up in my inbox. I was like, oh. So I'm looking forward to that. Shudder. Have you guys seen Shudder? Yes. Layla is amazing. Joe's alright. Nowhere Men. I think. You're okay.
Well, we can talk about the panel of mine.
All right, that's good.
Do
Do you want to take that?
take the question.
I can totally do it. Yeah.
Does anybody have a question for Candace and DeConnick or me?
The question is, if I could write any character that I've yet to write, which one would it be? Modesty Blaze. But Peter O'Donnell's estate won't do that. So it's a pretty safe answer, but it's true. And Jamie McKelvey would draw it in a red hot minute. Oh, like in the movie? I don't know. They don't tell me this stuff. Yeah, I mean, Marvel has noticed. Marvel is very clearly aware of the fact that Carol has a following. All of a sudden, Carol is Captain Marvel in the Marvel live show, and Carol is in some of the animation now as Captain Marvel in the proper uniform. Something is happening. I am not privy to it. I don't know if there's any movie, anything. If there is, I will be the first one to buy a ticket. Yeah, but I mean, there's very definitely like a sanctioned elevation happening. We can't get her hair consistent across the line, but you know, as problems go, I'll survive that, I think.
I was wondering, how much did you have to, I guess, fight for, or was it already written in, like, Carol's dynamic with Jessica Drew as the thing in the story? Is that, like, oh, you don't know, or was it, like...
Oh yeah, I mean, there was no, that was not a fight at all. There was never, there was never any pushback with that. Funnily enough, there are 2 Jessicas in the Marvel Universe, and they're both Carol's best friends. So, I had at first wanted to use Jessica Jones, but then Jessica Jones, in another storyline, she and Luke Cage were kind of gone off, and my understanding was that they were off the table for a while. And so I was like, the other Jessica then. So my affection for Jessica Drew was really sort of happenstance. It was like, okay, well, let's enjoy you then. But now I love her to death. She's great. So it worked out.
So are you super elated to see that she's going to follow her in other iterations of?
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, it's always fun to see, like, anytime you put anything into the universe and then someone else picks it up and does something with it, it's really cool. It's very gratifying, you know, that June Covington has like become a villain out in the Marvel universe. It's just like.
Two things. One, thank you for putting the Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes theme in the last edition of Avengers Assemble. That touched a very still beating part of my largely dark heart. And the other thing is there any chance of Jessica Drew series or miniseries by you?
Sure. The Earth's Mightiest Heroes theme, I did not, having the aforementioned incredibly not complicated taste in music, I'm like, that's catchy, I love that. And I love the show, so that was really fun. That was shockingly difficult to get cleared through legal. You would think that would not be problematic, what with their both being Marvel, but many phone calls were made, and last minute, like we had 2 lettered versions of that. One where you had the whole song, and one where it was just enough that we couldn't be sued. I would love to do a Jess book. I had a pitch in for a Jess Envoy, but I had to withdraw it because I don't have time. I suspect someone else will get to it first, and I will be sad and very supportive, and I will be also very excited because then I will get to read a Jess book. So I would like very much for her to have a solo or a team book centered around her where she is a big character. Although Alesha's using her in Secret Adventures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would like to see more Jess, regardless of whether I'm behind the keyboard or not.
I have a couple of quick questions, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is Carol's got a really crazy past, unlike most characters in the Marvel universe. She's bounced around a lot. So did that make it easy, hard, kind of crazy for you to write?
Well, I would argue that it is not unlike the rest of the Marvel universe. I mean, I think we have 70 years of history of most of these characters, and
Yeah, she's
everybody's got complicated pasts. You know, it's the longest running continuous narrative in human history, right? That's pretty insane.
That is.
If you guys haven't picked up Sean Howe's Marvel Comics: The Untold Story, I highly recommend it, right? It's great stuff.
She's got a very difficult past to go back and look at.
Yeah,
Because she's Avengers, Binary, X-Men.
yeah. But there's this continuity is the devil. And you need to do your research, and you have to read through this stuff, and you need to know. But you can also get completely hamstrung by it if you're not careful, rather. so the better thing to do is kind of focus on getting to what the core of the character is, like what is the thing about them that defines them, and then tell your story. And don't worry too much about everything else, because it'll become impossible for you to move forward.
Speaking of moving forward, first off, I love that she's in space. It's great.
Thanks.
And now that the whole Guardians thing is coming up, what does that mean for her and the team and the two ghosts running side by side? Are there going to be crossovers? How's that
Boy,
going?
you think that'd be something that Marvel might do, right? I don't know. Sure seems like that would be something that would be in their character.
I have some questions from Twitter
Oh, okay.
on the internet.
Hi, Twitter.
They say hi. Do you have any plans to write prose? Your pretty deadly afterwards are exceptional. That's not a question. But do you have plans to write prose?
I do have plans to write prose.
140 characters. So that's
Yes.
perfect. Now,
Yes.
Please elaborate. What are you going to write? You will read from it now.
No, I will not read from it now. I'm doing a series of personal essays about my relationship with my body and horrible, funny stories related to it. That will be illustrated by my friend Lauren McCubbin. So that is coming out, I don't know when we finish it. And then I'm starting a novel in June, which will be my first, and I am terrified, but it's going to be okay.
What is scary about it?
What's scary about it? Well, I think what it is like, so I used to be on swim team. I was on swim team for years, and when I was on swim team, I used to fantasize about running, because when you're swimming, like the amount that you push back with your hands, the amount that you force the water down, like if I push down this far, I don't actually move forward that far. Like lots of the water goes between my fingers. So it felt like a lot of the effort was wasted, and it was just like making me angry. I felt like I was being cheated, you know? And that like when you're on the ground and you run, the amount that you push forward, that you push with your leg is the amount you move forward, right? So in working in comics, it feels like swimming. It feels like there's this very indirect, like I know, I have a theater background, and this is a collaborative art, and that is a collaborative art, and I love collaborative arts, but there is a thing where it's like, well, so I have this idea for this story, and then I'm writing into a script, and then the script is interpreted by the artist, and then I have to change the script, and you know, and everything is, you know, your beats have to conform to these page shapes and page turns, and you only have 20 pages, and you know, all of this, there's all of this external structure. And as someone who loves puzzle solving, I really love the external structure. It's very fun for me, but there's also a part where I fantasize about, can I just write the story? So right now, writing the novel is like this, like, oh, so free, you know? It's this thing that like I look forward to and I fantasize about. But it's also scary because, well, also because like, when I stopped swimming and started running, I was like, oh, hey, running's hard. So there's that. So I have that understanding that like, oh, novel writing's gonna be hard. And also that I don't have the protection of there being all of these layers and artifice and everything, that it's kind of like crazy free. Like, oh, it's just you. Don't screw it up.
Crossover, that is, I'm gonna fix this question.
Okay.
Because it just says crossover with movies, Martha. Let me make it a question.
Okay.
Do you think you're going to cross Pretty Deadly
get Joss on the horn.
Would she ask Marvel to let her voice any future animated iteration of Carol Danvers?
No.
Oh, sorry. That's a typo.
No, I would not do that.
Follow-up tweet, come on. What draws you to outer space? You don't have to. You can pass at any time. Game show rules. You can pass, you can bank.
Okay. I think the funny thing is it's all theoretical for me. Like in actuality, like I love, my dad's a pilot and I love pilot lore and I love like the history of planes and I'm very interested in all of this in the history of pilots. I'm actually terrified to fly. When I got Captain Marvel, Matt was like, wanted to give me the gift of flight lessons. And I was like, no. Are you kidding? It's insane. I've never flown with my dad, because little planes, terrible idea. And I think like we were talking at one point about my husband went to space camp when he was a kid, and he would go into space in a minute. Like that would be like, sign up if you can get on the rocket tomorrow, would you go? No, I would not. I don't even like slides, but I like the idea of space. I like what it is in the fiction space. I like it as a frontier. I like what it means to Carol. I like the idea of taking a car out into the desert and seeing how fast it will go. If you're Carol and you can fly that fast, you need a real big desert. I think that's what space.
The rest of the questions were about food preferences.
Somebody asked me about vegetables last night. Is someone making a salad? What's going on with that?
Was there, I feel like, am I remembering this correctly, was there any Marvel cookbook in the movie? I know there was a Star Wars one.
It was a Marvel cookbook?
So then
Wow. Was Hawkeye's mac and cheese good? Yeah, I'm betting if Clint made mac and cheese, it would not be good. I don't think I would eat it. I bet it would have coffee in it. And you would just eat it straight from the casserole with your hands.
are writers for
Yeah.
which ones are the best of those? Like, who's mac and cheese between?
Of the right,
I think there was, this is my question.
okay. Not Brian Bendis, for sure.
I feel like we're really niching.
Yeah. Let's see. Not John Hickman either. That would be like really complicated, like the people that cook with liquid nitrogen. That would be.
Molecular Viscosity?
Yes. Ooh, I bet Jason Aaron is a good cook. Do you think? Like, I bet it's really southern and greasy. Yeah. That would be my guess.
Do we have more audience questions? I think we do.
Without mentioning the name,
The book that comes out in November that has a name I shouldn't say? Yes.
Yeah, don't publicity. No publicity.
Jesus. Yeah, it is a women in prison riff. Like if you were familiar with the exploitation films of the 70s, it is heavily inspired by that. But interestingly, it is not. It's not going to end up being as retro as I sort of planned for it to be. These things kind of take on a life of their own, and it's so it is a future where women. So in this society, you are either compliant or non-compliant, and if you are non-compliant, they would like to help you become compliant, because it's good for us as a society, for everyone to be compliant. And if you are continually non-compliant and the compliancy camps don't fix that problem, then you are shunted off to this prison planet. And you can be non-compliant by being actually criminal, or you can be non-compliant by being unpleasant, or fat, or essentially not fitting into the many boxes that we like women to fit in to make our lives easier. So if you are, say, argumentative or any of those things, then you might be labeled non-compliant. And so there's these 5 prisoners that will be centered on this planet, and there's a woman who's the compliance mom. Yeah, I'm really selling it well here. Sounds awesome, right? It's going to be mean and funny and bloody, and I'm trying to deal with a lot of the tropes of the old films, but having a different take on them. So like every film like that has a shower scene. So how do I do the shower scene in a way that doesn't objectify the women, that isn't exploitative? So how do I do an exploitation film without being exploitative, right? And so one of the things that I was thinking about is if we're doing the shower scene, maybe we see the women come into the shower and then we stop watching them and we watch the men watch them. So they're the ones that are objectified, and we linger too long there. And maybe for the phallic imagery, if someone is watching something through a peephole, maybe they take a nice pick to the eye, which makes a statement. My goodness, my little girls. Patriarchy is bad. Yeah, so anyway, there's I clearly don't have my pitch worked out for this book yet, but I'll get there. But yeah, so that's stuff that's going on and things that are floating through our minds, and it's not going to be as academic as it sounds. It should, if we're doing it right, it should be fun. It's going to be weird. Hopefully it'll be more instantly accessible than something like Pretty Deadly, which is a very rich kind of book that is you kind of have to wade into those waters slowly. This will be a little bit more of an instant thing. And there's another thing we're trying to do where we're going to have even the old comics, all the old comics that I read when I was little had classifieds in the back. So we're going to do a page of classifieds, and I've got a P.O. box, and like if you send $1 into the P.O. box for this crap, I'll send it to you. And so we're going to make up our own garbage to sell you from the classifieds. Which, true story, I actually got my signature, my real signature, from a comic book. I sent off $1, and they sent me back 8 signatures, and I picked one, and I practiced it, and that is my signature today. And so, I don't even remember, is that the worst? I should just make something up. Ooh, Teen Titans, but I don't know.
Teen Titans classifieds are the best. Sorry about any outsiders classifieds.
But yeah, so we're gonna do that kind of stuff, and then I want to do like hidden narrative in the classifieds too. So.
What comics did you cover?
Barbarella was a big one for me when I was little, and which is totally a book you should give to kids. And my mom never policed my reading though, which I kind of like. Wonder Woman was really important. I was much more of a DC girl. But it's okay. I learned. I grew. You know. Like Lois Lane was really important to me too. Yeah.
Was there a comic that made you go, oh, different?
No, it didn't even occur to me that anyone wrote comics.
Did you think they were documentaries?
I don't know what I thought. I tried to draw them. I remember, but I didn't. The first time I looked to see, who wrote this was Marv Wolfman. And then I thought, no one's name is Marv Wolfman.
It's pronounced Wolfman.
Is it really? No, it should be. Yeah.
It's pronounced Dracula Wolfman.
Marvelous Wolfman.
There was Marv Wolfman was the first.
Marv Wolfman was the first time I was like, wait a minute, who wrote this? And then, it was Wolfman Perez. And then I started looking for more Wolfman Perez. A good team, those two. They were all right.
Now, this new comic, DeConnick.
Yes.
Was there a chance of it was Marv?
Yes.
That is binding.
Yes.
There's lawyers here.
All right.
Any more audience? Oh, God. All right. Everyone asking it. Best costume gets asked first.
I have not watched Orange is the New Black. I've heard really great things about it, actually, but I haven't seen it. So this is a weird, this doesn't make any sense outside my head, but I watched a bunch of 70s films for the purpose of being influenced, but I have not watched Orange is the New Black for fear of being influenced, which doesn't make any sense because those movies in the 70s are terrible. And Orange is the New Black, I understand, is actually quite good, but I think that what I'm interested in was kind of the cheese factor, and my understanding of Orange is the New Black is that it is more real. And I want to play with. This is science fiction. It is B planet, not B institution. So I want it to be overwrought and science fiction. Everything's going to be very big. But I understand that show is really extraordinary. I will totally. I'm saving East of West until after I finish Pretty Deadly for the same reason. But I'm really looking forward to reading East of West. So I'll do that with Orange is the New Black too.
We always love it.
I do, yeah. I really kind of always have. When I was a kid, I was at my grandparents', they were having a party, and I kind of got to stay up late, and I watched some TV show. I'm pretty sure they didn't know I was watching, and I don't know what it was. It was a Western, and in my memory, it was Elizabeth Montgomery, but I had been through Elizabeth Montgomery's IMDb, and I don't think it was her. I know she did do a Western, but this was like a revenge thing where either her brother or her husband is killed, and she goes around tracking down and murdering everyone who is involved. And I was like, yes, this is for me.
Did you have a question?
No. Three pieces of advice I would have given myself. Well, I think I would maybe go back to before I had children and beat the crap out of myself for all of the time that I wasted. You guys who don't have kids, if you ever intend to have children and you don't have to do that to have a fulfilled life, it's okay, there's no judgment here. I'm not your mother.
That should follow what she says, Addison can.
Yeah. If you do intend to have children and a creative life, you should probably get started right now. Because the good news is the amount of things that you can do, like you have no idea how much you can do with how little time. The bad news is you are not going to get to sleep a lot, and it's going to age you really fast. So while your time is your own, don't be cute. Get on it. Like if this is the thing you want to do, get serious about it. And that would be my advice to me. Would be like, oh, aren't you cute? Shut up. Go work. You know.
That counts as 3. There's another question. Yes.
So, DeConnick did a great job with designing Carol's announcement and some key covers. Have you had him do an interior, or does Gillen have to check the process?
I think he does. I think Gillen actually has him in. I think that they have been surgically attached at this point. I'm not entirely certain about that. Someone can confirm that on Tumblr.
Bring these kids for it, too.
Yeah. Jamie and I we have plans to work together. And don't tell Gillen.
Do a quick closing question. Oh, no, shoot. You have a great question. With the 3 pieces of advice. No, I'm not putting you on the spot. Are there other questions?
I did, but we have plans to work together again. Jamie and I did a short, I think an 8-page Black Widow short was that Enter the Heroic Age? It's on my CV page. Which was Thorn, something about the thorn? Name of the Rose. Totally not about thorns. Name of the Rose. Entirely different. It's included in that trade. Yes, sir. They have asked me to plan the first year of Carol. So I don't know if they're just messing with me, or if we're confirmed to go at least for a year. It is an ongoing. There is no end date. With the ongoings, they tend to reevaluate every 6 months or so, because they think in terms of trades. So they're not going to end you in the middle of a trade. This is a business. They're a big corporation. Carol's solo book will continue as long as the sales support it. Pretty Deadly is a different animal because that's just Emma and I. We own that and control everything about it. We've just completed the first arc. We know how the story ends, but there's different ways we can go about getting there. So right now we're talking about shooting for 4 arcs, but that'll depend on a lot of things. It's easy for me as a writer, not easy, but as a writer I can work on multiple projects. It's much harder for an artist, and particularly if you look, Emma is so incredibly gifted, and the time that she puts into those pages, she does about 4 pages a week, and if you figure that out, that does not add up to 24 pages of comics in a month. So because of that, we have to get ahead again for the next arc, so there's breaks between arcs, and Pretty Deadly is also such that it can't be anybody but Emma and I. So there'll be breaks between arcs. We're looking at doing 4 arcs And we'll probably do a trade after each arc, and then like a hardcover for each of 2 arcs that'll have a lot of bonus material in it. That's the plan right now, but we're going to kind of play it by ear and see how it goes. But we do know how the story ends, so there's that. And then, yeah, and then I guess, you know, I'll continue on Carol as long as it feels right. And as long as I have the time. So that's just.
All right. Well, I'm glad to thank Carol for being